if you would be watching this talk online right now, the data you use will produce as much CO2 as a car driving for, say, let's 140 meters. That is hard to imagine, right? So me and the team, we made a machine. A machine that you can video call into. It tracks down where you're calling from, how much data you use, and it calculates how much CO2 you produce. And then it blows it into this mini world. So this is making it pretty undeniable how our personal data use every day is polluting the planet. And maybe you knew about this vaguely, but now you can imagine it. But what's unimaginable, that this is just the tiniest fraction that contributes to climate change. Climate change as a whole, it has become overwhelming. It's become unimaginable. And because it's unimaginable, it's becoming unactionable. So I believe something, that we're not only in a climate crisis, but we're also in an imagination crisis. And I also believe that that's the part that can be solved by art. Because art, it can help us imagine. It can help us imagine how every move we make, every choice we make, is reflected in the plastics in our ocean, like here in Plastic Reflectic. It can help us imagine how trees are experiencing climate change in real time by simply attaching sensors to them, giving them a voice of nature. Or something really personal, when we throw our cigarette butts on the ground. The science says how much it pollutes. So here we show how it pollutes the soils, the rivers, and the ocean. The research tells us it's 50 liters a day that comes out of one single cigarette butt. So art, it can make science communicate. It can make it resonate. It can make it accessible, understandable, but especially personal. And we all know here that if things become personal, well, then it's the moment that we start acting on it. So how do you make things personal, right? Well, for me, that's here today. Because today, it's special for me. I'm standing here in my old hometown, DenHelder. It's a beautiful town. It's surrounded by sea on three sides. Just like the rest of the Netherlands, it's 3 meters below sea level, and it has the most pristine beaches. It's really beautiful. But today, I'm also standing here in my hometown, knowingly that my children, my grandchildren, will never see this town. Knowingly that because of the rising sea level, my future family will never experience these beautiful beaches or see where I grew up. And I've been reading about rising sea levels for years. Just like you, I've been seeing the headlines. But now, having a family standing here today, it makes it personal. It makes me feel those facts that I've been reading for years now. And that's the part, I believe, that can be communicated by art. It can make you feel those facts again. So as an artist, I work together with scientists, climate scientists from all over the world. From UNESCO to ESA, I use their data streams and translate them into interactive art pieces. Interactive art pieces that make you feel those facts again. Because I believe something really simple. If the research does not reach us, then how can the research teach us? For example, we've been taught about the deforestation that's happening in the Amazon for years now. And still, 10 soccer fields of rainforest are disappearing each minute. And to make this understandable, to help us imagine, me and the team, we made a slice of rainforest that can disappear right in front of your eyes. Here you can see how the leaves turn transparent and back. Now, every leaf that you can see here disappearing, it marks the loss of 128 square meters of rainforest being cut down right now. Being cut down in places where we do not have eyes to see. But now, in this way, people all over the world can see, from castles in Dresden to hallways in London, from Taiwan to Turkey, people can see the loss that's happening right now somewhere hidden in the jungle. Because once you see it, you can imagine it. And once you imagine it, well, then it becomes really hard to deny it. And that leaves one option open: taking action on it. Well, okay, I hear you thinking, so where's the action? And I have the same feeling. I don't know why people are still sticking their heads in the ground. I do know that I do that a lot of the time. I stick my head in the ground. And I know a lot of you are sticking your head in the ground. And let me tell you a secret. I think we're right. I think we're right to stick our heads in the ground. Because what's happening under the ground, it's amazing. Under the ground, there's a perfect example of what society could be, how it could function. Under the ground, trees and roots and plants, they're talking to each other, sending each other warning signals, sharing nutrients to stay strong and healthy as one. So here you can see how some of them are sending warning signals. And if you look closely, you can see how they share nutrients from one side to the other. And we rebuilt this whole system together with Stefano Mancuso, building eco-AIs to help us understand and show this example of what a society could be, how a society could function, how an example of being strong together can be to us. And being strong and whole as one, that's a powerful message today. Because in this divided society, we might not realize it yet, but we're on a tipping point. A tipping point in our fragile future. And there's a data set that proves this. There's a data set that has a predictive value and that shows how nature can be in 30 years from now, based on our voting behavior today. So based on our voting, what we vote today, it can predict how nature will be in 2050. And to bring this data set alive, we create an artwork that grows based on our voting. And here you can see it growing, showing what happens if you vote for a sustainable society. But it also rapidly declines when we keep voting for messy governments that keep burning fossil fuels. And one thing it shows really clear. No matter where we are, where we're voting in the world, if we vote for a fossil fuel future, society, nature will flourish, biodiversity will flourish, and so will we. This work, it's a first step out of the imagination crisis and into solving the climate crisis, because it shows us that today matters. And today matters, because today, well, I'm standing here in my hometown. You're here in your hometown. Together we're here on our home planet. And together we can choose that better tomorrow. All we need to do is imagine it. Thank you.